Today we'll be upgrading a small business office network cabinet with Ubiquiti gear. It's all going to be centered around the UDM-SE, the UniFi Dream Machine Special Edition. And if you've never done anything like this before, then this video is made exactly for you. It's going to be very in-depth, so it might take a while, but by the end of this, you'll be able to set this up yourself for your own office or even for your home if you want a more robust networking solution. My name is Bogdan Shperny, founder of Apex One IT, and if you're a small business, you can reach out to me using the links in the video description below. We can design a network solution for you, and if you're local, we can also install it, and it'll be something just like what you'll see in this video today. And for the rest of you, all my content is free always. All I ask is that you subscribe and smash the like button. Okay, so first, let me give you an overview of exactly what we're going to cover. So this is our current situation. So this is just a diagram of what they have there. We're going to replace most of this stuff. This is a Netgear switch, more Netgear stuff, computer, stuff like that, modem. Most of this, and I'll show you that up on the screen as well. And during the installation, we'll be replacing this. And what we'll change it to, so this is option 3, is what the client decided to go with. So we have, like I said, the UDM-SE. This is Ubiquiti's main router. That's kind of the brains of this operation here. And then the switch, we're leaving the patch panel as it is here. So this is a Wi-Fi access point from Ubiquiti as well, the UniFi U6 Plus. And I'll show how to install this as well in detail. So for this video, I'll do a complete unboxing of the UDM-SE so you can see what comes with it, how to prepare for the installation. And you can see we're reusing the modem. I'll show you how to connect that though as well. And this is a Synology NAS. And then we have a battery backup cyber power. I scaled this in order to power this whole system for at least an hour. That's what this should provide. And then we have the smart power strip from UniFi as well. So you can remotely power cycle devices as needed. And this here is just the diagram. Okay, so this is the diagram of what, for all of this equipment, this is for business continuity and disaster recovery. Okay, something I also do. But if you want a video on how to actually set this up, let me know. But this is, it's about keeping downtime low and making sure you can recover all your files. So that actually works with all this equipment. That's kind of the point of this upgrade. And just to let you know, this video is all about the actual physical installation of these devices, right? It'll be in depth. But if you want to know how to configure this to make sure you have a secure network, that'll be a separate video. I'll have a link once I have it done on the screen or in the video description. So look for that. All right, so now I'll start with the unboxing. I'll show you the full installation of all these devices, what you can expect, a final walkthrough of what we actually install. And there's some other things that are not shown here, like fans that I installed as well. There's chapters in this YouTube video, so you can see exactly which component you need to install. You can just jump to those as well. All right, let's go. All right, so let me show you today what we're working with. It's not that, okay? We should probably remove this for them. It's this right here. So this is our cabinet, wall cabinet, a 9U, and it's quite a bit of a mess right now. There's a router, which was actually inside there earlier. I did already install, that's a AT&T cell booster. A bunch of, there's a UPC on the shelf, which is nice there. Okay, so let's take a look. This opens up nicely. These side panels pop off as well. Netgear switch, this is actually a pretty good switch, but we're going all UniFi here. And our patch panel. A little messy, but if you pick up a wall cabinet, it'll be something like that. So these are even numbered for each kind of rack 1U device, and you can tell it goes 7, 8, and 9. And we will not be moving these patch panel out because all of these cables in the back running through are already all installed completely. They're not Keystone, so it'll be quite a bit of work. And the other things we are going to keep here is this modem. That NAS for now, we'll be swapping it out later, probably a whole separate video, guys, and that backup hard drive from Seagate also will stay. One thing to point out is that we're removing the switch, and I do know that there's nothing assigned on these ports. There's no configuration on the switch actually. So I don't even need to necessarily take a picture of all this stuff. All I'm going to do for now is leave the patch panel plugged in, just so I know which of these in the patch panel, which of these ports were used up. Because all this is, right, from the patch panel, these cables are running through the ceiling tile and two RJ45 wall plates ports, in the different rooms, offices here. So this way I know that these are the ports that are actually being used. And ultimately, I could connect all of them, right? There's some empty ones here. And ideally, you'll have the whole patch panel connected to the switch so that any port is usable. But there's so many extra wall plates in this office that, you know, these are not all filled in because they're never going to be used. Even some of these that are plugged in, I'm sure are not actually being used. Not a terrible modem here. Okay, so everything's off the bottom. We can remove the switch, and these are just, you know, Phillips screw heads, very typical. The only thing holding this so far are these screws and the power cable in the back. Okay, not a bad switch, but of course, Netgear's interface and what they make you pay for subscription for is not worth it. Okay, so this is the UPS, the 1U UPS we're going to rack mount at the very bottom. So this side is our battery and surge protection, meaning that when the power goes out, only these 4 outlets will be powered by the battery inside here. And these are just for surge protection. So really, we're going to try to power everything from here. As you recall, we have that smart power strip from UniFi that we're going to plug in here, and that gives us 6 outlets off of this port plus the 4 USB outlets. Okay, so this is not too important. We don't need to do that. We will plug in, and they provide this USB cable from here to our Synology NAS, which will just give us some information when the power goes out, how much time remaining. That's going to be communicated to the Synology, and it can shut down properly. Well, which basically means it's going to protect our hard drives there, make them last longer. This guy, just you know, to make sure I stress this enough, it's heavy. It's like 3 UDM-SEs. Okay, this is over 30 pounds. So just make sure that whatever you're using can handle this. The one we have here is rated for 130 pounds. So this, with all the other equipment, will be just fine. And I have a spreadsheet I go through usually to check on that, double check it. So in our case, this will be fine in our 9U wall-mounted rack. I just have to verify that it's actually installed properly, and this thing won't bring everything down with it off the wall. Okay, and these are just the rack ears installed quite simply. All right, so we have our first unit here installed. It's that CyberPower UPS. It's a 1U, as you can tell. Right, we used up one. Here's the second one. So this is definitely something helpful if you have more than one person to help you install this. It is quite heavy. Let me maybe give you a, you can tell that it's flexing back down in the back here. Should have an opening. It should be up like something like that, but it is quite heavy, and you need to support it in the back when you're screwing these in. Of course, you know, with one hand, installing these can be a bit of a challenge. So either you need to stuff something inside there to kind of hold it in place at the right height until you install this, then you can remove that safely. Okay, so that's in, but there is definitely a flex, so I wouldn't put anything on top here. And that's where we're going to put a shelf on position 2 here to hold the NAS, modem, that kind of thing. And also I should note that I did have to move these vertical supports. You can actually move one more forward, but it was one back, and the UPS just wouldn't fit. So I moved this just one forward, and it could go one more, like I'm saying, then there will be actual room to access there. However, what I'm thinking at this point, first of all, it's always better for the weight to be as close to the wall as possible. The further out it is, the more it has a tendency to basically rip off the wall. So I want to keep it as close back as possible, even though it could go forward. And, you know, technically I still have, this is a glass panel. When it closes, it's up here. So I still have plenty of room for the cables. And if I went forward, it would just been a little bit tighter, but you could do that. In my case, I know I have another power strip that's going to be here, so I'm just going to need to get like a flat angle, basically kind of like that, flat angle plug, loosen this up first, install that plug, and that will go to that smart power strip in the back, and we can still plug everything in. And then to turn this on the first time, pry this open, just push in that power supply, you can close that. Okay, so now we have some info. We have, right, our input. You can just tap this to kind of cycle through. It's outputting obviously the same thing, nothing plugged in yet, right? So percent overload, and battery is obviously fine. So we'll take a look at this runtime 322. There we go. So it basically should be on by default. Okay, so let me show you just how to install your basic cage nuts that you need. It's almost the same with any kind of racks, hardware device you will install. You have your rack screws and these cage nuts, retaining nuts. It has these tabs, right? Because you're going to be pushing this in from the back through these squares here. And this flange needs to go out, and then you compress it, and this one goes out as well. So let's go ahead and insert it right here. Again, from the back, kind of get one of those tabs in, and push it, and the other one goes in. Okay, so let me show you one more time. Here's that outer one goes in, and then the inside one. Okay, and they're there. They should be bouncing around like that. Okay, it's basically ready to accept your rack mounting screws, and you just need to repeat this on the other side. Okay, so I'm installing this 1U shelf. This is the same one that was here, actually. And you just want to place it into position for now. And once that's flush, you might need to support it with one hand. You slowly, find the threads, start it off. Okay, so that one's in, it should not be forced. Sometimes you can kind of go counterclockwise until you kind of feel it click into place. This is just to make sure you don't cross thread it. And you can do that part by hand and then tighten it at the end. Okay, so finally the first UniFi device we're installing. All right, so this is the Pro Max 16, and you can tell it's actually not the PoE because of this power cable here. But first, make sure that's plugged in, and well, this also has the rack kit attached as well, of course. And if you need instruction, you need to see how to do that. I will have a video link for you on the screen and in the description. So first thing, we want to actually plug this in, because these snap in here just the same way. Okay, so just get this into position and have a screw ready to go. Hand tie in for now. And so you see with most devices, because those cage nuts move around, you kind of have a little bit of wiggle room. So you don't want it resting right over that line. You actually want it up in its position on both sides, and that's where we will tighten this up. Okay, so I'll just do one at a time here. Okay, so this is that UniFi Smart Power Strip, and you see this cable, there's no way we can plug this into the UPS as it is. So that's what I'm saying, I'm kind of going to get sort of like a little dongle right angle that can plug in there. But let's still install it today. So same thing here, if you need more info on this, I do have a video about this. It actually comes with this handy mounting bracket that will just slide into place. You can tell that you can actually mount it with screws, but it's also magnetic. Yeah, look at that. Here, let me actually show you. And there it is, right? It just snapped right on, which is nice. See, in this kind of situation, this is perfect. It's actually very difficult to take it back off the wall. So this will probably be a good height. We could even, plug in our fan here. These are all USB-C, our fans for up there. And everything else should plug right into here. Okay, so in the box, you'll pull out UDM-SE here, and then all the accessories you need. Okay, so I already removed a couple labels here on this 1.3-inch display, and there was one here. So FYI, just to access this, you just push on this, okay, and it pops open, just like that. So if you are going to use this, right, this is where you would install your hard drive, 3.5 or 2.5, and then it just slides right in, and then you click, you hear that click, and now it's locked back in place. And then we have our PoE Plus ports, 1 and 2, and the rest of these 6 are just PoE. Then of course a 2.5 gigabit, and I'll explain this later, but basically if you have kind of what I would call your regular speed internet that doesn't exceed 2.5 gigabit, that will go here with an RJ45. Otherwise, and you'll notice here, UniFi does these little arrows on their covers to indicate where to slide your nail under to pull these out. Okay, so there's a top and bottom. These are the 10 gigabit SFP plus ports that we'll use a DAC for, and I'll show you that. But if you have internet speeds of that fast, you'll put it there. So there's your reset port, and you'll want to use basically a pin to hold it and reset it when it's plugged in. You'll get a user manual here if you need that. And the power cable. So this is, roughly speaking, 5.5, no more than 6 feet for sure, if you're playing that out. This has a little locking feature in there. You plug this in and be sure to lock it. And then here, so this is for USB connect, meaning this is their redundant power supply. Okay, not the battery backup, but redundant power supply. Okay, they will want to slide the hardware out. And here, these are just sticky pads that you can remove if you need to use them. If this is going to be resting on a desk. This tiny one up top is a number 632 for your 3.5 inch hard drive. And then these are the M3 screws, and there's 4 of them for your SSD, if that's what you're putting in there. And then there's 8 of these M4 flathead screws, right? And that's for rack mounting. So this is the DAC cable. This is the smallest one, 0.5 meters, which is 1.6 feet. We'll be using this to connect from the gateway, the UDM-SE, to the switch. And finally, we have the RJ45 dust covers. Now, these look like they're aluminum, but they're actually plastic and painted to look like aluminum, right? So you just insert it like that. Doesn't matter which direction, but these do not fit for the SFP ports. We'll install these later. Okay, so we have the UDM, our main console here, UDM-SE, and just wanted to show you, okay, so this all comes with it. This will be similar for a lot of UniFi devices. You just want to mount these rack ears. They have these countersunk openings here, and that's for these small little screws right here. So all 4 of these will go in. So first of all, never use powered screwdriver to just get it started. I mean, if you're really good, you can, but a likelihood of cross-threading. Just get it started manually, and then you can finish it. And just repeat that on the other side. And like I showed you in the unboxing, we can go ahead and plug in our power cable. Okay, we want to do this actually before we install it, just for easier access. Then make sure to lock it. You will see that lock sign, and it's in blue. Okay, and then we'll take our rack mounting hardware with us. So again, the same square cage nuts and the 1032 screws. All right, there she is. Before I lose track of what's what, I'm leaving number 1 here always for the modem. Number 2 is always the console. And just good when you have some kind of system. All right, there's that. And then next one, number 3, is going to be our switch. And where's our light show? There it is. So they're both booting up. Okay, so this is our wireless access point. This is the U6 Plus, one of the smaller ones, but for this small office, this is plenty. So we are going to be, I took a ceiling tile off, and we're going to be mounting it on there. So we'll save this key for now. We can actually keep this separate. Okay, so from here, we don't need these drywall anchors. This is if you're mounting it on the wall. We are going to need these locking nuts and these very long machine screws. Okay, so this is going to be our back plate, and this is what we're actually going to mount. So this is going to be behind, but we're going to use this template here to mark our spots. Okay, so these are the holes that are going to hold this mounting bracket. All right, and then this hole here is for the pass-through of the RJ45. Okay, so we'll grab the template. And I'm kind of looking up at where this is going, just making sure there's nothing going to be in the way there. Okay, and then you'll just mark out these center holes here. on this template, and honestly, each one of these will have a template, so you don't need to worry about ruining this or anything like that. And then this level, actually doesn't matter for this purpose. It's really for mounting on the wall, although you could hold this panel vertically against the wall if you wanted to, the ceiling tile, if you wanted it like perfectly square or something like that. All right, there we go. Okay, so first we'll grab our 1/4 inch drill bit. And obviously I have a box, one of the boxes that I'm not going to use anymore under here. So you'll want to do that for sure. And this is a very old ceiling tile, so I'm just trying to be very careful for it not to crack. Okay, and then for that larger hole, the RJ45 pass-through, you technically need a 11/16, but if we all know our fractions, this is a 12/16, so a little bit larger, and that's going to be fine. We have our holes now, and this will go on the other side of this, facing the other way. So this is right here, the bigger hole for the RJ45. So on the back side of this will line up like that. Right, and then this will be like that. Let's go ahead and send one through and the other. Okay, and then again, just be sure this is not made to dig into the ceiling tile. It's this surface that's going to be against it. As you kind of start getting to the end, first of all, be careful not to over compress this. You'll just want to hold the nut a little bit, and its teeth are going to start digging into the tile in the back, so that you don't have to keep holding. You don't have to put a socket on it to hold it back. You can just screw it in once those teeth dig in. And now this is not going anywhere, and I definitely did not, screw that down way too much. You don't need to do that. Just as long as those nuts in the back you can't unscrew by hand too easily, that should be good to go. Okay, so that's what it looks like, and this is what is on the back side. And you see that opening there, and that will be for the RJ45. So you want to go ahead and feed that cable from your switch to the location wherever you have this tile. Okay, so the hardest part here will be putting this ceiling tile back, but we do have our RJ45 cable. It's a Cat6 running back to our network rack over there. And so let me first install this back. Well, I can already, should have enough slack. Feed this cable through gently. Beautiful, except probably the top of my head and my fingertips. And this is why we'll leave the plastic cover on this guy, okay? Because it's a matte white. This will instantly turn black if I touch it without wiping my hands a little bit first. So there's our PoE port, RJ45. That's where we're plugging our cable in. There's also a reset there where while this is powered, you can hold a pin there for a couple seconds and it'll reset the device. And to mount it, we have this arrow, or a triangle really. And this needs to align. You'll see there's an arrow here with this tab. Right, we're going to position it and then turn it to locking in place. Looking at it from the bottom, we're going to turn it clockwise to lock it in place. So let's plug it in first. Might need to take this off. And there, so it clicked, and now I can't unscrew it, right? Okay, so in about that same location where that arrow was, you'll notice there's that opening for our tool, right? So if you wanted to remove this, you insert that like so. Might need to kind of leverage it up, and then you can counterclockwise twist it. There it goes. Okay, I'm not going to take it off, but now it's already free. And let me actually take this out and lock it back in. And you heard that click, and it's locked. All right, so with our Wi-Fi access point, it's actually across the room there installed. I brought this cable over just through the drop ceiling and plugged it into one of our PoE ports, since that's what we need. So next, let's go ahead and get our modem plugged in, and bam, just like that. And actually straight from the top, we need some cable management. So you could have, by the way, a strip like this that you just cut to length that you need. If you want a little faster and you don't mind like extra, you can also just get them, the ones that are pre-cut. So like I said, we're actually going to plug the modem in to our smart power strip, the one that's labeled number 1. And even before that, let's bring in our coax. Okay, so you all most likely familiar with this, right? The way this works, you first, obviously, make sure your cable is good, but you push this in as far as you can, kind of, some pressure applied, you want to twist this on. Sometimes you'll just find you're twisting in place, and that's simply because you didn't first push it in strong enough. All right, you do not want to use any tools to tighten this on. This kind of hex form here is to remove it if it's too tight. And actually before, well, we can give it power. Let's plug in the power here. And our port number 1 in our smart power strip. And if you recall, kind of walked through this before, but we'll plug in, we're not using these 10 gig ports for the WAN, so for our internet connection. But we're actually just using this the RJ45 at the 2.5 gigabit. This cable modem is actually pretty good. It can be up to 2.5, so we will be good for a while. Okay, with that plugged in, let's place it into position. So it's powering on. It might take a minute for sure. And I'm sending my this RJ45 patch cable here on purpose, just so it's not in the way. And in fact, I could probably bunch it with this. And there we go. Okay, so you can see our UDM-SE, our console. So there's no IP address yet. It needs a public IP address, meaning the one from which you get your internet from your ISP, your internet service provider. So it's going to take a minute for that to happen. If it doesn't happen, I would just unplug both the UDM-SE and the modem and try again, and it should. Okay, so now we do have a internet connection. By the way, you can just tap on the screen and go to About. You'll see you can swipe left and right, and you see here we actually have a WAN. We have an IP address for the WAN and for the LAN. So this is the same one. If you watch my video on doing a pre-deployment, configuring it, it has that gateway IP address we set for it. So now it's online. All right, so we'll get our Synology here. In the future, I am going to change this out for them for a better unit. I think we're going to go with a 923 plus, and this is a 224. Sorry, this is a 220 plus, DS220 plus. So we are going to use both LAN ports for sure. So I'm just checking that this will reach. Now we'll go ahead and place these. So 1 on 15, 15 and 16. Right, because on this one, this is the Pro Max 16, and it has 4 2.5 gigabit Ethernet ports. And although right now this is only on 1 gigabit, I'm just going to go ahead and assign these two because most likely, the next one that we'll get in here, Synology will probably upgrade the card to the 10 gig just to get some more throughput. For that smart power strip, I kind of, starting with number 1, sort of most critical device to least. So I'm going to put the cell booster most likely on 5, the Synology on 4. Okay, we're almost to the funnest part here, which is patching this cable. So I actually ended up moving, by the way, as you can see the Synology to the right, the backup's here. Just so you can see that, even though it's a mess, but it's nice to have access to it. And now I think I'm ready to remove all these nasty looking cables. Yeah. Oh, this is gonna be nice. Okay, and just so we can get our switch online here, let's go ahead and plug in our switch to our UniFi console, and we'll use this bottom port. So that's port 11 on the UDM-SE. Okay, and again, remember that these have an orientation. You kind of feel that friction, you know it's in all the way. And we'll make a little loop here. And into port 18. To be clear, these are not the RJ45, but the SFP ports. Okay, so we got a light now in our Pro Max, and we can go to ports here. SFP ports 18, we got a white dot there too, meaning it's connected, and there we go, we got some data transfer. It's all linked up, right? If you see port 17, that's the one right next to it, we'll have a little cover on it. It says down, there's nothing there. But this one's now connected to your UDM. All right, all labeled. Next is the funnest part. All right, so I know we only have one desk phone right now, so actually I want to use the minimum that I need to in case something's brought here that requires PoE plus, and then someone's thinking, why is there something plugged in to PoE plus? And then like, oh no, I only have one port or no ports left. So this way, I'm plugging it into 3 because it's just regular PoE. It'll easily jump across, and the phone they have is on C8. Well, it's a phone, and then from the phone, it goes to a computer. All right, so that's fine. If I want to make this a little better, maybe route it around the back, but that's kind of, you know, a little too much OCD. Okay, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be setting up another phone here for them for reception, and that's somewhere here, so I'll be right back. Okay, so that will go to A4. They will have a phone there in the future, so I'm going to leave that there. So it's ready to go. And for the rest of these, we got the good stuff. All right, so these will, okay. I think we have something on 2. Okay, so these are these Ether lighting cables. And we'll basically patch everything else in. Okay, and the last thing we can do, grab these dust covers, tiny little plastic, painted in that nice silver. And let's see, on the switch, we only got one little spot there. And on our console, we got a couple. And I'll probably have to come back here and show you kind of the final version. And this is the final install. Okay, so as you see, let's start from the top, maybe down. This is, of course, our patch panel. So Cable Matters patch panel, and everything's labeled. These are labeled to the wall jacks in the building, in the offices. And the last one there is the APD access point. Okay, so just below that. Okay, so first of all, I guess some things are coming off the patch panel that are going back down. Okay, so these are for the PoE ports right here, a couple of these. And these colored ones are actually going to these right here. And so this is actually kind of a little hack to share a USB license key across the office. Okay, and that's what the switch pod is for as well. So they can actually, on their phones, switch over who, you know, up to 4 users have different access to the licenses that are attached there. Okay, and that's what these are going. And these are then going through a converter, just like this, USB to RJ45. And you do have to get specific ones that work to make this work. There we have our AT&T cell booster. That's over Ethernet as well. That's that white cable, patch cable going out to here. Okay, so we have our Pro Max 16 switch here, and everything is lit up by VLANs actually. So this is your normal main staff network. This orange one is actually that cell booster. It's kind of the IoT one. This is the server, or the NAS in this case. And then we have, this is the PoE going off to the access points, PoE to the desk phones, and the internet coming in from the modem here. And then we also have a NAS. This is a small one that will be updated. The local backup here. In the back, of course, we have, you know, they didn't need a huge one, and plus there wouldn't be room here. for the power distribution. So it's the smaller one here. That's about $50. And you might have noticed that this shelf here is actually sitting in the back. Okay, so I did that just to put more of the weight on the back rather than the front, because this is already pretty heavy. All right, so you'll notice here that the UPS is actually not mounted. It's just laying on here. And that's because there's just not quite enough room in the back to plug everything in. So I do have these offsets that I'll later install, and then this will be properly up like that. Okay, so the thermal fan control for this cabinet is back there, and that's fine. You can still reach it and change it. These side panels pop off as well, so let's see what we're reading here. So we're utilizing only 15%. I was hoping for at least an hour, and so we should. So 77. Okay, so let's actually test it out. All right, so it's definitely loud, I'll tell you that. It beeped twice. That's crazy that this thing's still running. Okay, there's probably some kind of, you see that weird vibration going on. Most likely because it's not actually mounted. Because when I pick it up, it's actually doing much better. Okay, so we still have 70, it's estimating about 72 minutes. So you can see these are the removable panels. And what's nice though, is they're all lockable. So both sides and this front one actually needs to be locked. Bam, no touchy. And the last final touch, yeah. If you found this video helpful, please share the video, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I do look at the YouTube data to see what's performing the best, and that's how I know which content to make. So that's how you can give me feedback. Of course, if you have any other helpful tips, something you would have installed differently even, let us know in the comment section. I'm sure that will help me and everyone else who's watching this. We're all trying, all learning, trying to do our best installs. Of course, everything that I've showed you in the video, I will have links for it in the video description, all detailed out for you. Thanks for watching. Take care.